What if I told you that for millions of people, it's not the year you think it is, but actually 2012? Today, we're digging into something we use every single day but barely think about: the calendar. We're going to explore why humanity has so many different ways of tracking time and how each one is a really clever solution to a truly cosmic puzzle.
No, really. For millions of people in Ethiopia, the calendar is more than 7 years behind the one most of us use. Their new year? It's not January 1st, it's September 11th. And this isn't some old relic, it's a living, breathing system, all based on a different calculation for the birth of Jesus Christ. It's the perfect way to kick off our journey because it shows that timekeeping, well, it's as much about culture and belief as it is about the stars.
Okay, so to really get why there are so many calendars, we have to understand this one basic challenge that everyone, from ancient Sumerians to modern astronomers, has had to deal with. It all starts with two massive clocks in our sky that, just don't want to play nice with each other.
All right, first up, you've got this solar year. This is the big one for most of us, right? It's the Earth's full trip around the sun. That journey is what gives us our seasons, it tells farmers when to plant their crops, and it brings us from one spring to the next. It's basically the rhythm of our entire planet.
But for thousands and thousands of years, a lot of cultures looked to a much more obvious clock in the sky: the moon. A lunar year is just 12 full cycles of the moon's phases, from new moon to new moon. Each cycle gives us a month. I mean, it's a supernatural, easy-to-see way to chop up the year.
And here is the huge problem that has driven people crazy for centuries: the solar year and the lunar year. They don't match up. There's this gap of about 11 days. Now that might not sound like a lot, but it creates this massive challenge. If you just follow the moon, your seasons will start to drift. But if you just follow the sun, your months don't line up with the moon's phases. So literally every calendar in history is just an attempt to solve this one fundamental cosmic mismatch.
So, what's the simplest way to fix this problem? Well, you could just pick a clock and stick with it. Some cultures decided to follow the moon, and only the moon, no matter what.
So you have these purely lunar calendars, like the Islamic calendar, that have 12 months that track the moon perfectly. And this works great for its main goal: keeping the months aligned with the lunar phases. But the big trade-off, the catch, is that the whole calendar drifts compared to the sun. This means that major holidays and festivals slowly creep through the seasons, completing a full cycle about every 33 years.
But what if you're a culture where it's absolutely essential that your holidays stay in the same season? Like if you're an agricultural society, you really need your harvest festival to actually happen in the fall. For that, you need a much more complex and honestly a much more clever solution: the lunisolar calendar.
And the fix for this is it's so elegant. Ancient astronomers figured out what we now call the Metonic cycle. They realized that 19 solar years is almost exactly the same length as 235 lunar months. So by adding an extra leap month 7 times inside that 19-year cycle, they could magically snap the lunar calendar right back in sync with the solar seasons. It's a brilliant method used by both the Hebrew and the traditional Chinese calendars.
And this really gets to the heart of why they went through all that trouble. I mean, this wasn't just some abstract math problem. For them, agricultural and religious life depended on the seasons being consistent. The whole point of this incredible feat of ancient astronomy was to make sure that a spring festival, like Passover, that it always happened in the spring.
Which, of course, brings us to the calendar that most of us are using right now, the Gregorian calendar. It's basically the third major solution to that cosmic mismatch. Just focus almost entirely on the sun and kind of let the moon's phases do their own thing. Its history is this amazing story of centuries of tiny adjustments and fine-tuning. I mean, our calendar started out as a complete mess. It was a 10-month system that just pretended about 60 days in the middle of winter didn't exist. It was a Roman king, Numa Pompilius, who first added January and February to fill that gap. Then, centuries later, Julius Caesar, with help from the best astronomers, brought in the Julian calendar, which had a much more regular leap year. But even that was a tiny bit off, so finally, in 1582, Pope Gregory XIII made the last crucial tweak, a slightly better leap year rule, and that gave us the incredibly accurate solar calendar we all use today.
And the names of our months are like a living museum of that whole history. January is named for Janus, the two-faced Roman god of beginnings. March is for Mars, the god of war, because that's when the fighting season started up again. July and August? They were literally renamed to honor the big bosses, Julius Caesar and Caesar Augustus. And hey, have you ever wondered why September, October, November, and December have names that mean 7, 8, 9, and 10? Well, it's a direct clue that they were the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th months in that original wonky Roman calendar.
But okay, even if we can all agree on the year and the month, what about the day itself? Turns out how you define a single day can also be completely different depending on where you are. So for this, let's head back to Ethiopia for one more fascinating example. So check this out. Because Ethiopia is so close to the equator, the amount of daylight is incredibly consistent all year round. So it makes perfect sense to just start the day when the sun rises. What most of the world calls 7 a.m., many locals in Ethiopia call 1 o'clock in the morning. Then that 12-hour cycle just resets at dusk, so 7 p.m. becomes 1 o'clock at night. It's a completely logical system that's just perfectly tuned to its environment.
So when you boil it all down, what this all really shows is that every calendar, whether it's chasing the moon, taming the sun, or trying to do both, is a culture's own unique, brilliant answer to the same universal questions. They're a record of human ingenuity, showing us how we've tried to track the seasons, mark our big events, and just make sense of our place in the universe. They're not just tools, they're stories. You know, each of these systems is a whole universe of history and culture just waiting to be explored. To go a little deeper into these stories, you can find our full audio resource linked down in the description. Thanks so much for watching. And hey, if you found this interesting, please give it a like and subscribe for more.